Welcome to Coach, Empower, Inspire. We were really inspired to do this presentation for one of our conferences in the spring. And we really feel like coaching and empowering and inspiring the staff and the directors has been a large part of our process since we started working with Grow and J Kids. So today we want to focus on both coaching and working with the ERS. So we were wondering, let's do a temperature check. And Christy, if you could read them out when they come in, because I can't see what's coming in. So in 2 words, or if you want to jump on, unmute yourself, please do so. In 2 words, what has been your experience with the ERS tools? If it's ITERS or it's ECHRS. If you have no experience, we'd love to hear from you. So where are you in the tool? How have you used it? Kind of give us a couple words about what your experience has been so far.
You can, like Steph said, jump on or just put it in the chat.
Any takers?
Yep. There's ECHRS used a lot. Sorry, it's bouncing. Starts off great, and then it's lagging. Just starting out. Nice. Setting up the classrooms to meet goals, observing observations, just starting out with the tool, empowering for staff.
Awesome. Yeah, so we have a spectrum of people right now that are in the midst of using the tool, have been pretty advanced in the tool, and that's kind of where we want to start. We want to just make sure that number one, that you are aware of what the tool is, but also kind of gauging what your experience has been so far. So again, thank you for joining us today. We appreciate your patience and all your and your time to be here with us. So let's get started. So our objectives today: discover ways that the ERS tool can build those strong relationships and help refine and define areas in your classroom environments. Explore the impact of using the trust and inspire concept. We'll talk about that a little bit later for your staff and to promote those positive working relationships. And lastly, we're going to implement strategies to effectively coach your team on best practices to foster the utilization of those tools. So how can you leave this webinar right now and use the tool in a way that's helpful, right? We want a quick turnaround to help you guys out. So we've heard this a lot. I know a lot of you, I can't see your faces, but I'm hoping we have some nodding going on. But a lot of parents and a lot of people we've known in the education field has always asked, like, so the kids just play all day long? And we say yes, right? We understand the importance of play and what it encourages, right? Language skills, social and emotional skills. It really fosters that creativity and imagination, and it really builds confidence from peer to peer, right? Those really important relationships during play happen because we want to encourage those peer-to-peer relationships. So when parents and teachers say they're just going to play all day, we say yes, right? Again, Christy, jump in. I know I can't see you, so if you want to jump in, please do so. Interrupt me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So embracing ERS tools at the onsite of obtaining the tool seems like a lot, right? It is a guidance document. It's a lot of paper. It's a lot of words, but we want to be able to have the directors and the staff really embrace the tool. So understanding that during play and during the interactions is where that meaningful learning happens. The ERS tools, ITERS, ECHRS, and FECHRS. Right now, I know we have directors on and staff on, but this tool encourages that the balance of child-led and teacher-initiated activities. We want you all to be in play. We want the staff to be in play with the kids, and that really, number one, increases confidence in the children, because what their play means to them is everything, right? What they're doing, and they may be, I don't know, a unicorn, and they may be a firefighter in the dramatic play area, but to them, that play at that time is the most important thing. So we want to join them and build that self-confidence. Children really thrive when their health and safety needs are met, right? In the tool, there's a large subscale in health and safety. So hand washing, taking care of themselves, and the potty time, all those things increases the confidence in that aspect too. And
Yeah,
then,
I was
go
just
ahead.
going to say, Steph, too, within the ERS tool, Steph mentioned those routine cares, those interactions are just important during those routine cares as it is play.
Sure. And given the opportunity to, be in the classroom and explore and learn new skills. And we do harp on materials a lot, but we want to make sure that those materials are being rotated in some way. And it's not just the same thing every single day for the whole entire year, right? Have the staff taking ownership of that classroom and making it a creative space for them. And then also, we want to make sure that the kids have access to materials and are not in group time for a long length of time. And we're going to get a little bit into that as we move forward. But again, meaningful learning happens when we embrace those core concepts of the ERS tool and really just the high quality interactions. And like Chrissy said, those that room care and how important that is. So this slide, this concept of the big three happened when I was at the ERC conference in April, and Georgia, the state of Georgia, brought their quality rating improvement system. Um, they brought this concept to a workshop, and I thought it was incredibly important, and I wanted to bring it here. And it's called the Big Three, and it really is we're able to switch our lens to the three core concepts of where our focus should be on, which really internally helps the other areas of the tool. So schedule, right? Appropriate daily schedule, making sure that we have that 60 minutes of free play time and 30 minutes of the gross motor time. So having those different aspects of the schedule be appropriate for the children and the age group. For example, ERS, right, 3 and above is that 60 minutes of free play and 30 minutes of gross motor time. The infants and toddlers don't really have a stricter schedule compared to the ERS. The access to free play, awareness of the classroom rules and expectations, and it's also awareness of where the kids are in their classroom, right? Is there a limit to the amount of kids in each area? Is there, let's say a popsicle stick with their name on it, and the kids can put it in a cup wherever they are in the classroom? It's the awareness of the classroom, but also awareness of rules and expectations. And go ahead, Chrissy.
No, I was just going to say the schedule is so important when it comes to the ERSs because your schedule might not meet what the ERS is asking for, which then is going to throw you off with what the ERS is trying to get you to meet. So really creating that schedule. And a lot of time, as a former director, my schedule would have never met the ERSs. So going in and creating and taking that step to adjust your schedule is so important. And sometimes that's really hard to do with a teacher who's been set in their ways and, has that momentum. But I can't stress that enough, that schedule is so important to meet the ERSs. And just, and maybe you don't want to change it all at once, but take baby steps into changing that or that schedule to meet the ERSs.
Yeah. And we know there's challenges based on schedule, right? Who's going outside when? What classroom is here? I know there's a classroom that splits up their free play time to get outside, right? So all those things we can help the directors work around the schedule, but it's really important to have that schedule, like Chrissy said, to maintain that routine. And we're going to talk about routine as well. So again, just the awareness of the classroom. And we want to reiterate too, we're not asking staff to be like, okay, you're going to let the kids run free and make a mess of the classroom. No, we are asking for play with parameters, right? Play with expectations, play with classroom rules. You can still have a very well-run classroom with children having access to all materials. It takes a while, right? It's practice makes improvement, but you will get there. And that's what we're going to try to help you guys out with during the Grow Into Kids process. The second part of the big three is interactions. Interactions, which is weighed very heavily in the ERS 3. A lot of it was rewritten from the R to focus a lot on interactions. I think out of 35 items, I want to say it's like 31 of them are that have interactions inside of them. The others are based around classroom space and safety practices. But interactions is a huge part of the tool. We want to be intentional. We want to make sure that the play is meaningful, the interactions are meaningful. We want to expand language. And I think expanding language does take practice. I know a lot of staff work really hard on asking not just yes or no questions, and that does take practice. So we want to make sure we're working on a lot of those expanding concepts with the children of a certain age. And then open-ended conversation. So that back and forth tennis style, conversations, but the back and forth is really important based on interactions as well. And the last one is relationships. We have schedule, interactions, and relationships. Now, we want to make sure that the classroom environment is warm and it's positive, and you have those adult-child interactions, that feeling of safety, right? Not just is my body safe, but do I feel safe inside? If a child steps into a chaotic classroom, they may not feel safe, and that can cause their behavior to shift in a way. And a lot of what we talked about, like Christy said before, that schedule. If your schedule on a daily basis isn't routine, some kids thrive on a consistent schedule, and we have found that a lot of times the classroom schedule, if it's off or if it's not consistent, some kids have a hard time with that shift. And then encouraging that peer-to-peer relationship, right, building that self-confidence with children of the same age, and really fostering those relationships. So this is where we're looking at the big three in these three core areas of the ECRS tool, and other areas in the tool will be higher quality based on these three concepts. Any questions or comments on that? I'm wondering if there's any feedback or what your thoughts are.
There is one question in the chat, Steph,
Oh,
about
sure.
schedule. They ask,
Great.
can you split up the 60-minute free play by 30 to 30 minutes and 30 minutes?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I said before, it has to do, is the word cumulative, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Um, thank you. Math isn't my first language. But I have a center. The director is on here, and one of her classrooms successfully splits up the classroom and comes back and re-enters play, right? I think that's the important part. There can be a pause in play, but the kids have to re-enter where they were. I wouldn't, Chrissy, you let me know what you think about this, but I wouldn't clean up and then start all over again. I think it's good to either, come in, wash hands, and then one by one, the kids can re-enter the play they were in, just so there is that seamless transition. But yes, you can split up free play time to go outside.
Yeah, the only reason I would discourage splitting it up is because of running out of time. You only
Hmm.
have a 3-hour window that you have to fit all this stuff in during your observation. And I always encourage my centers to do it the 60 minutes consecutively and fit in your other things that you want to get in during that hour free play. Like during that hour free play, you can burst out in music and movement. You can incorporate, I'm trying to think off the top of my head now, but it's just you really have to schedule yourself well, that if you do 30 minutes in the beginning and then you're not going to do another 30 minutes at the end, that you don't run out of that time.
Yeah.
Because
Yep.
not hitting that 60 will hit you in all those activity areas. So it's
Sure.
really important to hit those 60 minutes.
Yep. Yeah, and again, that's ideal. So if there are some situations where there's no way to budge out of that, just like Christy said, be aware of the time. A lot of our centers have a stopwatch or a clock that is literally counting down, and we don't
Yep.
want you to harp on the minutes because it is based around the play, but we do want you to have a successful rating, and these are the areas where we're telling you that you'll be successful, and not just for the rating, but for every day. Having that long length of time for play, it really gives the kids, like we said before, developing all of those imaginative creative skills doesn't happen in 10 minutes, right? It really has to be a length of time for children to, number one, immerse themselves in play, and then continue play, right? And then for you to join in on each of the child's play. That length of time isn't just because there's reasons behind it. So yeah, is it ideal to break up time? No, but if you do and you have to, make sure you really are adding up those 60 minutes. All right, let's move forward. So again, big three in practice, right? This is just a flow chart, a quick little visual. So schedules, right? More free play, decreased whole group times, and wait times. The wait times can get you too. That's where kids get a little feisty, right? Interactions, focus on intentional teaching, make it meaningful, and have those frequent conversations during routines and play, even outside, right? When we talk about free play and choice time, we're not talking about just materials in the classroom. We also talking about outside, right? Whole group time free play time outside is the children can play whatever they want to and play with whomever they want to. So again, it's inside, which we're fostering that relationship, but outside, we're also fostering relationships too. And if the kids want to play by themselves, that's fine too, right? We don't have to make kids play together, but we do want to give them the space to somewhat foster that relationship. Again, relationships, warm and responsive caregiving, and having that personalized interaction and caregiving, right? So that's through the ITERS and ECHRS. And then why the big three? I wanted to focus on these areas because when we understand the importance of quality, right? Instead of focusing on teaching to the test. And the ERS can look like, you get a grade, there is a number at the end, but you do want to measure yourself, right? How am I as a teacher, how is my center doing in these certain aspects of the tool? And if you are at the minimal stage right now, that's perfectly fine, right? How can we build ourselves up to a higher quality? I think every center could, work on areas of improvement. Research has shown that high quality interactions, um, and the centers that focus on those health and safety needs have a long lasting impact on children's lives, right? Health and safety, social and emotional, et cetera. And then having equity within the tool, which I think they're working on in the future, having the ability to use this tool in diverse settings is a goal of the ECHRs. And we're seeing now that that is an important part of our work with different childcare centers. And then we talked about group time, but I want to harp on this a little bit more. And for me personally, I haven't seen many group times over 20 minutes that have been incredibly engaging and successful. There's been a few, but I want to reiterate the length of time and the age groups you have in the classroom and why it's important to minimize group time. For the itters, for the younger kids, you don't need to be in a group time really at all, right? You can be, but are we flexible? What's the length of time? Are the kids engaged? Is it meaningful? Is it the same every single day? And is there flexibility? Especially for the ECHRs where we think of a traditional classroom as a teacher in the front, right, holding a book and reading to the kids and things like that. But every day, if it's the same thing every day, by minute 6, 7, 8, they're gonna be falling apart. So you want to make that group time really meaningful, really engaging, new concepts, new information, and then decrease the time. If it's 15 minutes, like maybe that's max. I always tell my directors to do like 10 to 15 minutes, depending on the age group. If they're older, and I think that's more appropriate, but as we get lower in age, it's almost like the younger they are, the less time you want them to be in a group. And
Steph,
group time,
I'm
go
just
ahead.
going to jump in there real quick because I'm going to talk about a center I had, and the toddler teacher did like a 15, 20-minute morning circle, if you want to call it that. There were great things happening during that time, but the toddlers were just too young. They were not paying attention. She was getting stressed out. They were getting stressed out because they were trying to be made safe. So we had a discussion about free play and just letting, and the infant and toddlers are kind of on a play schedule all day. And I told her, I was like, everything you're doing during that circle can be done while they're playing. You can read the book while they're playing. Whoever comes over,
Yep.
comes over. You can sing a song during free play. Whoever comes over, comes over. If you want to still do that morning hello song with them, you can do it while they're playing. Whoever joins in, joins in. And let me tell you, the dynamics and the atmosphere of that classroom changed dramatically. It just became a more calm, relaxed atmosphere with not putting that pressure of you have to sit here, you have to do this, you have to do that.
Yes.
So I just wanted to put that in, especially with the toddlers. Like Steph said, as they get older, yes, you want to have a 15-minute circle. That's great. But with the toddlers, you really don't need it. Everything you want to accomplish in circle, you could do while they're playing.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at, I have the group play activities. I'm pretty sure in the ECHRs too. I'm almost positive it can be NA. You don't have to have a group time. And I
No,
know as a teacher, the reason why I became a teacher was because I had a kindergarten teacher that I loved, who when I sat in her circle time, I'm like, I want to do that, right? So it's that traditional aspect of sitting in a group, but that's not where we're going for in the mindset of where kids are now. It's not like strict, but there is that you want to feel community within the kids. You want to feel that circle time, and you can, but make that meaningful. So, like Chrissy said, music and movement. You can have a book time. For curriculum, you can introduce concepts or the study or whatever you're planning for that day. So making it meaningful and honestly short. That is our advice, especially when it comes to the age groups of the kids. And again, just the benefits of routine. Consistency is incredibly important, right? For infants and toddlers and the babies, it really influences the child's social, emotional, and cognitive development. So it reduces distress, it builds the confidence, it supports learning, improves confidence, and promotes healthy sleep, which I know is an important concept. And then it really does reduce the frequency of challenging behaviors. So when we talk about routine, we're not so much talking about scheduling, right? Making sure they do this then, do this then. we want to give them a space where they know what's going to happen, or they know what they can and can't do as a member of the classroom. So you have a space where they can play. You have materials they can access, right? So making sure that the kids gain that kind of self belonging and building that self confidence, even at a young age of being a toddler, right? So you want them to be able to travel the classroom and be as consistent with them as possible. I
You
think.
want me? Yep.
Yeah.
So Steph just did a quick overview of the important areas that we feel are most important when you, like she said, the big three and the ERSs. But now, how do you get your staff to do this? How do you implement this into the classroom? So in the chat, or if you want to unmute and let us know, what word do you think of when you hear the word coach?
Again, I can't see, so you'll have to, if they.
I think guide. Yep, same. Somebody just put guide.
Great.
Guide, helper, help, guide, um, mentor, support, sharing, teacher, mentor, someone who guides and support. Yes, those are all great and all exactly what we think of when we think of the word coach as well. Support, teamwork. Yes, I love that teamwork one because a lot of times, which we'll get to,
Yep.
people think coach has to be one person, and it really doesn't. It's a team of people who can provide the support.
Sure.
Steph, if you want to.
Yep.
So, what is coaching? A coach is really an advocate for best practice. It's all about enhancing the existing knowledge and being their biggest cheerleader. So, all this really means is you're going to support your staff and you're going to guide them to be the best version of themselves. It's like I said, it's about enhancing their existing knowledge, developing and refraining skills, and facilitating feedback. As a coach, you want to set them up for success. You want to give them things that they're going to be successful with. This means you're going to find their positive attributes and build from there. You want them to see their value and you want to see them succeed. That's the most important thing about being a coach. So you're really their biggest cheerleader is what you are.
Mm-hmm.
Why is coaching so important? So you hear the word coach a lot when you work within Grow New Jersey Kids, the ERS tools with your TAS, your QIS, the infant toddler specialist. You're always hearing the word coach. The main purpose of coaching is to improve the development and growth of the children by empowering and supporting the adults who work with them. And I love that. Like, I'm going to say that again, because that's just, you don't think of it that way. It's really the development and growth of children by empowering and supporting the adults who work with them.
Mm-hmm.
So for this, go ahead.
And you can almost say it on the other way around too, empowering staff to build the children up, and it is that like that loop, chicken or the egg, right? So it is empowering the staff to be empowered to be that person for the children.
Yep.
Yeah.
And for this to happen and really work, you must build a trusting relationship with those you are coaching. So your staff, your coachee, some people refer them to as coachee staff. Building a trusting relationship is so important. You got to support your staff members. Coaching creates relationships with the coachee, feels cared for, and then able to assess and implement new knowledge. You want to make that connection with them. And to do that, you want to establish personal connections with the staff, get to know them as individuals, their backgrounds, their interests, their aspirations, show genuine care and empathy for their well-being and professional growth. Mm-hmm. And building trust is I can't express that enough. That is the most important thing. Trust forms from the foundation from effective communication and motivation. So really building that trust and motivating your staff is why coaching is so important.
Yeah. And also looking inward too. I know for us as supervisors, we have to ask ourselves sometimes, okay, how are we assisting the staff? Is there anything I can do different, better, longer, etc. to do that. And also for us too, getting feedback sometimes is scary from our staff, but it will help us develop and grow. So in that way, like Chrissy said, to build that trust and partnership, having that two-way conversation is really important too.
And one thing you want to remember too is every staff member is not going to be able, you're not going to be able to coach your staff members the same way. Everyone needs to be coached to their best ability. So that may look different, and we'll get to that later on. But you might have to alter and change how you're trying to get someone to implement something. You know, some people are visual learners, some people are hands-on learners. So how you coach definitely needs to be adjusted depending on who you're working with too. So who is a coach? So this is, we kind of touched on this a little before. As a former director, you feel like you wear a million hats. I know that feeling. You're the director, you're dealing with parents, you're dealing with billing, finances, janitor, you're the nurse, you're everything. So you really want to look outside of yourself too. It does not only have to be the director who is the coach. It could be someone the teacher already knows. This can be someone they have a relationship within a non-coaching capacity, such as a supervisor, the director, the administrator, or peer. A lot of people don't think to use peer-to-peer coaching, but peers can offer valuable perspectives, feedback, advice to each other based on their own experiences and knowledge. One of the TASs I supervise, they have a program, their program does peer-to-peer coaching. And I saw it firsthand, and she has like a whole form that the peer goes into the classroom, conducts the observation, gives feedback, and that peer gives the feedback to the other staff member. And it really worked well, and especially if, sometimes they have better relationships with the peer than they do the director, but really consider using that peer-to-peer coaching in addition to the director coaching. It doesn't have to be one or the other. The second one can be someone internally within the school. This is someone they have a relationship with and are from within the organization, and coaching is part of their role. This can be, depending if, what type of program you're from, this can be a master teacher, a head teacher, education coordinator, curriculum instructor, or the director can fit in here as well. Again, the director can fit in most of these areas, and I know a lot of us don't have curriculum instructors, education coordinators, but someone in the building, I mean, we all have head teachers. So if your head teacher is really good with that, lean on her or him and ask them to help out with the coaching. And the third one is someone external to the school. This is someone who does not work at the school. Usually this person has limited or no prior relationship with the staff, such as a QIS, the infant toddler specialist, TAS, consultants. No matter who the coach is, most important thing is to feel like a community and feel like they are the community. Not community. Communication is most important. Foster an environment where they can express their thoughts and concerns without fear or judgment is what it really comes down to. It's really important to practice empathy by putting yourself in their shoes and trying to understand their viewpoint and really be respectful. Even when addressing issues or providing feedback, constructive criticism can be delivered in a positive way. It's always important and most useful to use that strength-based approach when it comes to coaching.
Yeah. Any feedback on that? Is there a practice that you already have in place that you think is working, or anything you could think of that would be helpful? No? Okay.
So what is the intention and role of a coach? You guys all put this in the chat before: support, guide, collaboration, think positive, reflective feedback. Coaches establish trusting and collaborative relationships with their coachees. You want to create that safe, we keep saying the word safe, but that safe, non-judgmental space where you can provide them support and guidance. It's really an opportunity to collaborate and provide feedback, after an observation.
Yeah. And thinking about reflective practice, this does seem like a very comprehensive, high level thought process, and it can be. But even just thinking about the way you ask questions to your staff, if someone in your school comes up to you and said, this child's doing this and this and this, and I think he should be out of my classroom, one thing you can ask yourself is, I'm wondering, or ask yourself or the teacher, I'm wondering where this behavior is coming from. Like, just this simple way of reframing the questions we're asking and using more of a strength-based model. I'm wondering about this, or let's consider this. It's really important to have that reflective language to have that conversation too. And I have seen a shift in the way we've been talking to directors about that as well. So keep that in mind.
And I think I'm going to add here too. I think one of the most important things is also celebrating their growth, celebrating achievements, both big and small. Recognition and powerful it's a powerful motivator. You want to celebrate, even if it's the smallest little step that they make. You want to celebrate it. And like Stephanie said, that constructive criticism, feedback, being positive it's just so important. You don't want to break them down. You want them to see their value and their growth. And you're going to get so much more from them being empathetic with them and putting yourself in their shoes.
Mm-hmm.
So affecting coaching practices, as you all know, there's different ways to coach. There's observation, there's modeling, and there's feedback. So observation is a time to, obviously, you're gathering data and information. This can be done formally or informally while teaching is taking place. So while you might decide to go in and do like a 3-minute clip of circle time and observe circle time. You might want to go in and observe free play. You might want to go in and observe routine care. You really want to focus on one thing that you're going in and observing for that observation. Before the observation takes place, you can have a pre-observation meeting with the coachee to build a relationship. Again, there's that word relationship because it's so important, and discuss the focus of the observation. You can provide them with a list of questions beforehand to see what they feel they want to focus on. Put it in their hand. Ask them, what do you want me to come in and observe today? What do you want me to focus on during the observation? And what they feel their strengths and areas of improvement are that are needed. Have this conversation before so they know going into what you're going to be looking at. We do at the end here, there is a Padlet that we have lots of tools and observation tools and forms and pre-observation questions and stuff that you can ask that can help you guide through these as well. The next one's modeling. Modeling occurs when a coach demonstrates how to use the practice. So modeling is typically used by a coach when a coach is not correctly doing something. So you might be in the midst of your observation and they're doing diaper changing and you see they miss a step of diaper changing. You kind of stop them in that moment and provide and show them, hey, you know what? You forgot to wipe before you put the dirty diaper or the clean diaper on. You forgot to wipe your hands with a wipe and then the child's hand with wipe. You're stopping them in the moment and showing them how to do it. You're modeling for them how to do whatever you observe them during that time.
Yeah, and also, Christy, I've seen a director be successful in just joining play. And sometimes you don't even have to stop them in the midst of certain kinds of activities. You can just join another child's play. And that is the modeling of how to ask questions, how to add math talk to dramatic play area. So whatever area that you want to work on with them, just jump into play and be a part of the play with the teacher to kind of show them what areas or what questions to ask, things like that. So you can just join in on play as well.
And the other thing is too, you want to remember modeling, it does not have to take place during that observation. You can present and model during training, during a staff meeting, during the post-observation meeting with the coachees when you're giving them feedback. So, the modeling can take place outside the classroom as well.
Mhm.
And the last step is feedback, which really the primary purpose of in-classroom modeling is to help coaches better understand how the accurate use of practice looks and how important the performance of the children is. And to do that, you really have to provide feedback. It's the most crucial part of coaching. So we can go in, we can do the observations, we can take notes, we can have the pre-observation questions. But if there's not time for feedback and reflective discussion, it really defeats the purpose of, coaching effectively. The goal of feedback is to assist the coachee in improving their knowledge, their skills, their attitude, their behaviors, relevant to that practice. I can't stress enough how important that feedback is. Some people want to give it verbally. You can put it in writing, the feedback, just as long as there's some type of feedback from that observation. It should really offer the learner an opportunity to reflect on their performance and the learning process.
Yeah.
So we kind of touched on this before earlier on, but great things in business are never done by one person. They're done by a team of people. And it's so important to remember as a director, because I know as a former director, we can burn ourselves out. We try and take everything on ourselves, but you have a staff of people that really can lend you a helping hand. Really lean on your staff and use them and to their ability, and really, using them to help them with these things too, really builds them up and sets them up for success in the future as well.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna try to play this before. I tried my best, and
Do you
I'm
want
going to.
do you
Yeah,
want
I'm
to
gonna.
you want me to say a quick thing about trust and inspire before
Yeah.
we show the video, or do you want to show the video first?
I already stopped sharing. So do you want? Why
Okay.
don't you just say it now, and then we could go back to
Okay.
it.
Yeah. So trust and inspire is kind of, I want to say, like the new leadership for the future. It kind of really came out when COVID happened. When everyone went to virtual, it came a time to trust and inspire those you're working with. So trust and inspire leaders get, they're fine. Like in the data and the research now, they're seeing that trust and inspire supervisors, leaders have so much better results in ways that help people grow. They focus on potential in each individual. It's about creating high trust cultures instead of that command and control culture.
Yeah.
So back in the day, there was always that supervisor that, and I'm sure we've all had them, where everything was about command and control. They wanted to be in control and they were going to tell us what to do. Now the future is really going to that trust and inspire. And I really think, and I try and use it with my team as well. And I feel like having that trust and inspiring them to go outside their box and do something they wouldn't normally do, you really get more from them. They respect you back, and you really get more production out of them than being that authoritarian, really.
Yes.
So that we have a video here that it's a short video.
Okay, I'm going to when I turn on my share settings, it's going to mute me. So Chris, you just let me know that
Okay.
that you can hear it.
Style of leadership is rooted deeply in the industrial. The old style of leadership is rooted deeply in the industrial age, and you might call it command and control. Now, we brought more benevolence to it to make it kind for command and control, but the paradigm was command and control to bring out the best in our people and to really operate efficiently. Operating today with command and control as your leadership style is like playing tennis with a golf club. The tool is completely ill-suited to the new reality. So I like to say that the new way to lead is to go from command and control to trust and inspire. And that's not just a nice platitude. It's all about truly tapping into the creativity, the talent, the innovation, the engagement of our people. When they're trusted, they'll be inspired. And when they're inspired, it will bring out the best in them. They'll rise to the occasion, they'll perform better, they'll give you everything that they have. And without that, we're operating in the old world of command and control. There are 3 key reasons why trust and inspire is a better way of leading than command and control in today's world. First is today's world is a knowledge worker age. We're not in the industrial age anymore. Command and control was a style that was suited for the industrial age. Trust and inspire is a style that's suited for the knowledge worker age. Second is how work is done today. It's collaborative. It's partnering, teaming, collaborating, innovating. All those things require trust. If you don't trust your people and extend trust to them, you won't be able to collaborate with them, partner with them, team with them in the kind of ways that need to happen today in order to succeed. Third, it's a multi-generational workforce. Our workforce is changing right in front of our eyes. Look, take millennials as one example of that. Millennials don't want to be managed. They want to be led. They want to be inspired. And nothing does that like a leadership style of trust and inspire versus command and control. It's a different way of leading that's suited for our times today. We're Franklin Covey, and we know trust.
And quick and go back. Any reaction to that video? When I first saw that, not only just the millennials getting a shout out, but any feedback from that video? I thought it was really powerful, especially in our workforce now.
I'd like to say something. I don't know if I'm the only one or if it's everybody else. I mean, I would love to do the trust and inspire, which most of my employees I can do that with. But I also have some that need that, like, why isn't this done? Like the old age type of thing. And I personally am not like a micromanaging boss. So I think some of these girls take advantage of it. So some require that type of, here's a checklist of what I need you to do. And I need it done. And the problem is, and I've talked to my my TA, that no matter how much I say, they're not bad as workers, but they can do so much better. Like they're so lazy sometimes. And I can't fire them because I can't find anybody else.
Sure.
And I have to suck it up. And I can't get to why isn't it done? They're not afraid. And again, luckily I've been blessed with very, good employees, but there's always that one or two that you want to, if they came a dime a dozen, they wouldn't be here. But that's just my frustration. Like I love treating adults like adults, but some of these guys are old enough to be the adult, but they're acting worse than children.
Yeah. And I appreciate you being honest. Number one, I think when we look at command and control, think about it as like the command and control back then compared to now is everything back then was everything you did was command and control under this big umbrella, right? And now if you are taking aspects of it because you need to, because that's what that worker needs, that's one thing. The workforce issue is such a topic, and we could spend a long time talking about that. But I do appreciate your honesty and vulnerability in saying, like, we need the bodies, right? We need that ratio too.
And I want to go back to saying, like, and that, everyone can't be supervised the same. Everyone, you might have to give that person that list and checklist and say, hey, can you do this with me? And I don't see that as command and control. Like maybe that's what that particular staff member needs, but present, and it's how you present it to them. That checklist, that's important. And I don't see anything wrong with, like you said, some I can do the trust inspire, and some, you have to give a little more of a nudge. And I think you can do that trust and inspire with giving that nudge too.
Yeah. And Mona said it reduces the tension between coach and the teacher. Yeah, for sure. The tension and the stress that can come with that relationship is huge. So having that inspire process is really important. And also I heard from, everyone knows, well, a lot of people here know who Jen Cortez is, but she said something to me that was really helpful. And, leaders go first. And I really like that because you as a director or you as lead teacher or instructional coach or whomever what your role is, as someone in a place where you are some kind of leader and you're looked to as a leader, you have to be the person that steps first to do the right thing or the hard thing. And so it is hard to take that step, but over time, I think you'll see that the people that are there for the right reasons will follow you for the right reasons.
And just that comment, how it reduces tension and between the coach and the teacher, you're absolutely right. That trust and inspire reduces that tension and stress, which creates that safe, trusting environment we've been talking about. So
yeah. Right. So I'm going to get back. We have a few more slides. Again, I'm going to share my screen, so I won't be able to see you all, but it's okay. Entire screen. Go. Okay. Give me 1 second. Okay. All right. So again, we had that Trust and Inspire video. I want to say it's in the Padlet, but we can always add it afterwards. So a Trust and Inspire leader recognizes everyone has greatness inside them, so their job is to unleash the potential of their team. And that's a lot easier said than it is done, right? But I do think it's that strength-based process that we have to keep in the front of our minds. Even with difficult staff, what are they really good at and how can we foster that greatness throughout the team, even if it's helping with technology, right? Or even if it's helping with displays, or if they're really strong in the art area, where can we foster their greatness and how can we make them step into that leadership role in some way? And then there's that fun Venn diagram, modeling, inspiring, and trusting. And then in the middle, there's a trust and inspire. So that was just a fun little graphic we found.
yeah, and like you said, Steph, that this, it takes practice. Like trust and inspiring supervising takes practice. It's not something that is going to happen right away if you don't use this model, but it definitely takes practice. And I think in the Padlet, if it's not, we can put it there. There's a great book that we received as senior TASs called Trust and Inspire. And it really is a great resource. I'm pretty sure it's in the Padlet, but we'll double check.
Yep. So the art of coaching. So we have reflect. And I think the one last step I would have after observation, model, feedback is follow-up, right? We do want to reflect on what you observed as a coach. And then we do want to have that follow-up. Here's what we worked on. Here's what we're going to do, what you do moving forward. But now what, right? You want that follow-up in that conversation of, hey, this is what happened. And let's see where you are now. Let's do a post observation. Having open-ended questions, making sure that there is conversation, right? It's not just transactional. You do want to have those open-ended conversations and questions that you not only ask, but they're asking you. Reframing behavior. So if there is something happening in the classroom or you see something that's happening with a staff member, how can we reframe a behavior or something happening so it is a strength-based? Again, strength is the next one, making sure that we keep staff strengths in mind. Although, if there is a challenge with the teacher, how can we have that conversation and have it be constructive and not have it be a reactive conversation? And clarify, active listening, and joint planning. I do want to move a little bit. I'm just being mindful of everyone's time. And joint planning, I feel like is very, very important. Moving forward, how are we together, right? Coach and coachee moving forward to create that positive outcome in the classroom, right? How are we able to together, like he said in the video, collaborate as a team to move forward in the planning process?
I want to go back to active listening too, Steph, because I feel like active listening is so important. When a staff member's talking, you want to give them your full attention and avoid interruption. Show them that you understand their perspective, that you were listening by summarizing what they were just saying, and paraphrasing their points. And, ask them clarifying questions, open and like Steph said, the open-ended questions, but active listening is just as important as giving them feedback and reflecting and all the strength-based and all that, because it shows that you're validating their points and listening to them just as well.
Yeah. And active listening also is taking pause when you need it, right? And then saying things like, okay, so what I'm hearing you say is, and that kind of gives you not only time to process what you heard, but also give yourself time to react in a way that is appropriate. So what I'm hearing you say is, and I think that just adding that to your next conversation summarizes what they said, but also gives you time to kind of create that thought of, okay, what can I say next that would really be helpful here, instead of reacting. SMART goals, right? Obviously, moving forward in that joint planning process, what does it look like? Making sure it's specific. Is it something specifically that you could target for for that staff member to work on? Is it clear and concise? How are you measuring those goals? Let's say, one of their goals is to talk about math and dramatic play area 2 times. If it's only once, let's work on doing it 2 times next time. Making sure it's measurable and also attainable, right? There are certain things in classrooms that are just not attainable and certain things that are. So making sure that that goal is easily able to be achieved. Making sure it's relevant based on the results or the feedback you received from your staff and what you've talked about from your previous coaching sessions, and then have it be an appropriate timeline.
And just real quick, because I know we're running out of time too, to tie this into the ERSs, an example of this SMART goals would be breaking down the ERS book. It's such a big book and there's so much stuff and content in there. You might want to, for 2 weeks, just focus on the item that's about dramatic play and, start at the minimum level and work your way up. But for 2 weeks, only focus on dramatic play. And then, create those small goals and achievable goals for them within the ERS book.
Yeah.
Ladies, if I can just have 1 second,
Sure.
because I know we're running out of time. I'm Sue Jennings from A to Z. Christy and Mercedes can vouch that I
Yes.
am probably the worst listener on the face of the planet. I hear that from my staff as well as my family. And lately, someone told me, in order to listen, you must be silent.
Mm.
So that is, and Miss Patel, you're not out there by yourself. I'm with you.
Thank you for saying that. Yeah, it's so true. Like giving pause and holding the space, which I heard that from a SEFI consultant years ago. But really give yourself the pause to hold the space and hear what they're actually saying. So that's a great point. Great point. Thanks for joining in.
And just kind of to sum things up, we have this quote here. It's an amazing coach is the person who pushes you to your physical potential, no matter what the pain or obstacle, someone who guides you and inspires you to reach your goals and achieve the results you desire. An amazing coach is hard to find, difficult to part with, and impossible to forget. So we all have that one person in our life who really made an impression on us. And it could have been a coach in the athletic field, a teacher, a parent, a colleague, but an amazing coach is hard to forget. So
totally. And then just to, again, summarize, breaking this down, start small, one item at a time. And when we talk about item, it could be one indicator. Become familiar with best practices. The foundation of this tool is developmentally appropriate practice, best practices in health and safety, and also within play. Assess your materials regularly. Are there things you're missing? Are there things you can get more of? Give ERS access to staff. I know we're not, we don't want to drill the book into them, but give them access to it. Give them the book and have them flip through it, read it a few times, make it a part of your staff meeting. And then also incorporate the language into your team meetings, into your staff meetings, into your coaching sessions, into your one-on-one meetings with staff. Have that language be more and more readily available so they are aware that this process is being used at the center. And like Christy said before, celebrate the progress, celebrate the small wins. We're not talking about, these huge obstacles that they have to get over. It's really based around those small increment changes that you will see have a long lasting effect on the kids' behavior down the road.
Yeah, like we all want that 3-star, 4-star outcome, but even the smallest little steps leading up to that are just as important to celebrate. Like implementing those things into the classroom need to be celebrated just as well.
Definitely. And then here's an example of starting small. This is math and number. The 3.1, this is an indicator, or 3.2. Staff talk about shape or size when children use materials. If that's not being worked on or you don't observe that during play, make that just that one thing be a part of your coaching process. And it's an observable goal. It's observed once. Make that a goal. Make something very small be a part of your coaching process and be a goal for them to obtain. That's a very attainable process and a very attainable goal. So again, start small.
And like we said before, let them pick the goal that they want to work on. They might feel that they don't implement math into their classroom, and that's the goal they want to work on. You know, let them be part of picking the goal that they want to focus on.
Yeah. Any questions? Any questions? Any comments? As you're doing that, again, we have our contact information here. If you want to take a quick picture, you can please reach out to us with any questions or comments. The next slide is Padlet, so we want to make sure that we are giving you guys access to that. If you have a phone on you, if you don't, I'm sure we can get this information to you. But here is our Padlet of resources, and in there is, like Chrissy said, some of the observation forms, some good resources, and information,
Articles, yep.
articles. Yep, some information for you to take with you.
And I think